welcome back. We're going to go through a quick overview of this year's Ivey application. In this video, the key question that we are going to answer for you is what's included in the Ivey AEO HBA application for this year. We're going to talk a little bit about the differences between last year's and this year's application, as well as quickly go over the various sections that are available in this year's application. For a more in-depth overview of each individual section, as well as examples and templates for your use, please watch those sections of the bootcamp specifically. So first off, let's go through and do a little compare and contrast of what was a part of last year's application versus this year's application. Now, obviously, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, there have been a lot of changes within our world, and the Ivey Admissions Office has recognized that and made some required changes to the application to be accessible for students, as well as to really understand the times in which we're living. So last year's application included biographic information, special circumstances, awards, your top 2 activity essays, as well as they were piloting a character essay, an additional 500-word essay that students needed to write. You can include your additional activities, your international experiences such as languages or some educational or volunteer trips that you may have taken, as well as work experiences and references. You'll see that the sections of the application for 2020 are a little bit smaller. So they've taken out some areas and then also added in a few more to take the pandemic into consideration. So your biographic information, special circumstances, your awards, your top 2 activity essays, those are all the same. As well as this year, they have added in a pandemic impact statement, an additional 250 words for you to be able to explain and describe how and if the pandemic has impacted your leadership opportunities. There'll also be a section for additional activities. And then there's also a new change to references. Please watch this video in particular, as references are required first in order to be able to submit the application. So it's actually a little bit smaller, less essays for you to have to complete this year, but as well taking into consideration, international travel has been incredibly limited, and same work experiences for a number of students, for example, in the summer may have been limited with things being closed. You can still include things like international experience and work experience in your top 2 activities or your additional activities. There just isn't a separate section for it this year. All right, biographical information. You can take a look at this specifically on the application, but basically this is just your basic contact information. So like address, name, the school that you go to, best way to get in contact with you. Super important to note, and they've highlighted it right here on the application, do not use your high school email address. That ends when you leave high school, and they're going to need to get in contact with you in first and second year of university, as well as possibly other times. So make sure that you use your personal email address. Do not use your high school email address. Also, it's listed there, the different steps, how you apply to OUAC first. They have the listing there as well, and then also how you finish completing off the rest of the application. The award section, so again, overall in comparison to the entire application, its overall impact is very low. So we talk about this in the awards video specifically. If you don't have many or any awards, it's not going to have a huge impact on your application. But if you do have things that you can include them in this section. Your top 2 activity essays, that doesn't change, so those are still huge, high impact. Included in the top 2 activities, again, is also this additional 250 words for pandemic impact. So make sure that if you're including that, it did have an impact in your overall activities and your leadership. This is a required component of the application that you need to complete in order to submit. The pandemic impact statements, again, a new component of the application. If your leadership or extracurricular activity was impacted by the pandemic, you'll complete a 250-word essay there. If there was no impact, you will also note this in that section as well. But again, I highly recommend watching our pandemic impact statement video for some more specific examples and resources. Additional activities, you can still put up to 5 additional activities. This component is going to be have a very high impact overall. So very high is your top 2, high is these additional activities, and we also included work experience here because that will be accepted even though there is no specific work experience section in the application this year. And your references. So again, this is a new change. We do have a separate video on this, but just want to highlight and show this is directly from the 2020 application, and you will need to complete and submit your reference information first before you are able to submit the rest of your application. So really important to note there. Your application deadline. So I think I've said this before in like almost every video, but I know Adrian has also echoed this sentiment in some of the videos he's completed as well. But Ivey does not accept late applications, okay? They just do not. They don't care if your internet fails, if you lost your computer, like whatever it is, they are not going to accept late applications. So for students who are in high school currently applying to Ivey AEO, your deadline is January the 15th, 2021 at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If your application is submitted at 4:01, they will not accept it. So don't apply on the 15th. Finish it a week, if not earlier, so that you are not stressed or anxious about submitting your application. Get it done well ahead of time. And you can work with our admissions ally coaches to help you prepare so that you're not waiting till the last minute to apply. For those of you who are currently in university, so maybe you have AEO 2 status, or you are applying to be a transfer student or move into the program into your 3rd year of university, your application deadline is on January the 29th, 2021, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So again, same goes for you. If you apply at 4:01, they're not accepting your application, so make sure you get it in well ahead of time. As always, if you are ever looking for additional support or resources, please reach out to us. We do still have some spaces available in our essentials and our premium coaching packages to help you build a strong application during such a challenging year. Thanks for watching the overview, and we'll see you in the next video.